to the book of Mark, chapter 11.
The book of Mark, chapter 11, verse 11.
Come on.
And Jesus entered into Jerusalem and into the temple. And when he had looked around upon all things, and now the eventide was come, he went out unto Bethany with the 12. And on the morrow, when they were come from Bethany, he was hungry.
So now, when I was doing this lesson, I didn't know what, I know the Bible has meanings for words, so I looked up the word Bethany. That word Bethany means unripe figs. That's what it means, unripe figs. All right, so read verse 12 again.
Verse 12. And on the morrow, when they were come from Bethany,
unripe figs,
he was hungry.
He was hungry.
And seeing a fig tree afar off having leaves, he came, if haply he might find anything thereon.
Come on.
And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves.
So now Christ was hungry. And he saw a tree. He's like, you know what? Let me go over here and they're going to see if this thing got some fruit on it. Because I'm hungry. Read.
For the time of fig was not yet.
But he said, listen, there ain't nothing was on this tree. All he saw on this tree was a bunch of what? Leaves. Leaves on the tree. Read.
And Jesus answered and said unto it, no man eats fruit of thee hereafter forever.
God cursed the tree. He said, oh, you want to try to pull an okie doke on me. I come here today and get fruit from you, and you ain't got nothing on the tree. You look like a tree, but I don't see no fruit I can eat from you. So Christ cursed the tree. He said, listen, from this point going forward, nobody eating this dang on tree. Read.
And his disciples heard it. And they come to Jerusalem, and Jesus went into the temple, and began to cast out them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the table of the money changers, and the seats of them that sold those, and would not suffer that any man should carry any vessel through the temple. And he taught, saying unto them, Is it not written, my house shall be called of all nations the house of prayer?
So he asked me, is it not written in the scriptures that my house is what we call the house of prayer? This is where people to come and seek dang healing. This is the place people are supposed to come and seek salvation. But y'all in here, they gonna partying up. Gambling, selling, y'all doing y'all own thing. Read.
But ye have made a den of thieves.
So y'all not turning the Lord's house into a den of thieves. Come on.
And the scribes and the chief priests heard it, and sought how they might destroy him. For they feared him, because all the people was astonished at his doctrine.
Come on.
And when even was come, he went out of the city. And in the morning, as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots.
So now remember, earlier, he cursed the fig tree because why? He was hungry. And the tree didn't have any fruit on it. So then he went on to the daggone temple, and he began to daggone rebuke those that was in there defiling the temple. And now on their way back, leaving, they came back across that tree, and they saw that the tree was dried up. Come on.
And Peter, calling to remembrance, said unto him, Master, behold, the fig tree with thy curses is withered away.
So Peter was like, wait a minute. That daggone tree that you cursed, look at it, man. It's all shriveled up. Read.
And Jesus answered, said unto them, have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea.
Come on.
And shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he said shall come to pass.
So that part is heavy. He said, the things that you say shall come to pass, Peter. Do not doubt in your heart. Read.
He shall have whatsoever he said.
He shall what?
He shall have whatsoever he said.
He shall what?
He shall have whatsoever he said.
So Christ went to the tree and demanded the tree to bring forth fruit. But the tree was like, I'm unripe. So Christ got pissed off, like, oh, is that right? Well, Shazam, dried the dang on tree up, cursed it. Showing you what? Christ knew he had power. But it's bigger and it runs deeper than that. Finish it out.
Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them.
It said, if you believe those things and what you pray for, then you should surely have those things. But you have to believe in what you're praying about. A lot of us pray for things, but when it doesn't come to pass, or it doesn't come right then, we say, oh, hell, just forget it. And when you say that, when you got that mindset, God says you really didn't believe. You didn't have faith. You wasn't patient enough to wait on me to bring forth the thing that you asked me of. Be patient. We seen that here. Month after month. This year here was a hard dang on year. But it was dang on lessons to be learned out of it. Take heed. Take stock in yourself. Read on.
Verse 25. And when ye stand praying, forgive if ye have aught against any, that your Father also, which is in heaven, may forgive you your trespasses.
Come on.
But if ye do not forgive, neither will your Father, which is in heaven, forgive your trespasses.
So now, Christ was doing a lot of things in this passage right here. And a lot of it went over everybody's head, including myself, when I first started reading this. I could not get it. But eventually, start connecting little dots with little precepts that I have written down over some years. And I'm like, I got the sucker now. And I figured it out. All praise to the Most High. So I'm going to drop this dang thing on y'all tonight. All right? So Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 1. We're going here because what we just read in the book of Mark was prophesied in the time of Jeremiah. All right? This is where you find a prophecy about Christ cursing the tree. All right? And it's going to shine a little bit of light as to what this tree was talking about. Christ was talking about when he cursed the tree.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 8 and verse 1. At that time, said the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the king of Judah, and the bones of his princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophet, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves.
So this was Jeremiah prophesying about what's going to happen in the future. He says, listen, the bones of all 12 tribes of Israel is going to be brought out of the caves. All right? And you notice here, he says, read verse 1 again.
At that time, said the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah.
The kings. The kings. This is why we call ourselves the kings of Israel. Not because we dang are the only ones that dang rule supreme in Israel. We saying that God calls all the dang men of Israel kings upon the face of the earth. So you have to dang start carrying yourself as such. And when you start carrying yourself as such, people will begin to respect you. But you have to demand that thing. That's why the class called Kings Demand Respect. Damn it, we gonna get it. We may not get it today, but we gonna get it one day. Trust and believe that. So now Jeremiah is prophesying that, and in a particular time, it's going to be kings of the earth, the Israelites, is going to be brought forth with their bones and stuff, brought into the inhabitants out of the graves. Read.
And the bones of his princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophet, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves.
Every last one of us is going to begin to wake up again. That's what they're going into. Prophesying. Jeremiah is prophesying. Read verse 2.
Verse 2. And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon, and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved, and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered, not be buried. They shall be for down upon the face of the earth.
So now, when you read verse 2, he's saying they is going to be spread forth before the sun, the moon, and all the hosts of heaven. What this is going into is then this time of Jeremiah, we as Israelites, we was worshiping the sun, the moon, the stars. So God said, oh, since y'all want to worship those things, I'm going to spread your bones before all those things. So that they can look upon you and see them dang on things you worship going to bring you back to dang on life. God is making mockery of the 12 tribes of Israel. Everybody with me? All right. And now he says, and they shall not gather together. What is that going into? Give me Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27.
Come on.
And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
God is going, the prophecy was in the time of Moses. Moses was telling the Israelites, y'all just obey God's commandments. He's going to do what?
And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
God is going to scatter us amongst the nation. Read.
And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whether the Lord shall lead you.
So now, go back to Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 2 again, so we can get the thought. So now he said, you know, because of y'all disobedience, just like in the time of Moses, and now we're reading here in Jeremiah, I'm going to scatter y'all amongst the nation. And y'all not going to be able to gather yourselves together. Why? Because the prophecy said that he would what? Scatter us throughout the four corners of the earth. That's the reason why we're not gathered together. Everybody see the connection? Read.
The book of Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 2.
Come on.
And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon, and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved and whom they have served.
We worship these things. Come on.
And after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered, nor be buried.
So now when he says they should not be gathered, what's the reason? What's the reason why we're not going to be gathered? I can't hear nobody.
We've been in captivity.
Because what's the word that we use in Deuteronomy chapter 4?
Scattered.
Scattered. Come on.
Nor be buried.
Oh, so now let's focus on that just for a second. So now he says, and they are not going to be buried. So wait a minute. If the bones was brought up out of the dang old place at some point, it had to be buried. So now he's bringing it back to life and scattered before all these things that we worship. So what is he talking about? Give me Proverbs 21 and verse 16.
Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 16.
Come on.
The man that wandereth out of the way of
The
understanding.
man is talking about the Israelites. We wandered out of the way of understanding, meaning the laws, statutes, and commandments. Read.
Shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
So what?
Shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
Meaning you will not be buried. Meaning you will be what? The walking dead. Spiritually, not physically. All right? That's why he's saying your bones are going to be spread amongst all these things. All right? And you're not going to be allowed to be buried. Read.
Verse 17.
No, that's all over from that. Now go back to Jeremiah 8. Everybody with me?
Book Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 2.
Come on.
And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon, and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped, and they shall not be gathered, nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth.
So now let's deal with that dung upon the face of the earth. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and verse 43.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 43.
Come on.
The strangers that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
So now, again, this is Moses talking to who? Us, the Israelites. He said, listen, I'm giving y'all one. These strangers that's here among you all, because we had a few that came out of Egypt with us. He said, these strangers that's here with you, they're going to do what?
Get up above thee very high.
They're going to get above you very high. Read.
And thou shalt come down very low.
We're going to get so low that we become a pile of what? Crap. That's what he's saying here. Anybody see that?
Yeah.
Go back to Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 2. And we're going to pick up at verse 3.
Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 3.
So now, just to recap, all right? When it says that you should not be gathered together, it's because why? We were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Everybody understand that? When it says that you should not be allowed to be buried, it's because why? We could be
commendation of the day.
There you go. Meaning we don't have what? The commandments. Understanding of the commandments. All right, the laws. There you go. All praises. Now it says you should come down to the dago and be as dung upon the face of the earth. Meaning we should become what? Very low. We became a base people. Everybody understand that? Read them.
Verse 3. The book Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 3. And death shall be chosen rather than life by all the residue of them that remain of this evil family.
So God was calling us evil at this point in time. He said death is what they're going to choose. That's what you see right now going on today. A lot of people walk away from the faith because why? They rather live in the ways of the world. The thing that the world has to offer is death unto them, but they rather choose that over being with a God-fearing man, or a God-fearing woman, or with your brothers enduring to the end. You see what I'm saying? You'd rather go and chill with wicked family. You'd rather go and chill with wicked friends. You'd rather go and they will do things that is not pleasing unto God because we are evil, is what he says. The residue of this earth are evil family. Read.
Which remain in all the places whither I have driven them, said the Lord of hosts.
So now when he says, whether I have driven them, meaning we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27, where he says, so what? Scatter us. God driven us into these different parts of the world, so that we would not be all together as a daggone nation. Read.
Moreover, thou shalt say unto them, thus says the Lord.
So now he said, Jeremiah, you will say unto them, thus says the Lord.
Shall they fall and not arise?
So now even though they're in this little state, this downhill of a state, he said, shall they fall and not be able to rise up? Read.
Shall he turn away and not return? Why then is this people of Jerusalem slidden back by a perpetual backsliding?
You will always constantly breaking the laws of God. Backslide. This is where your dang old Christian church gets this from. You're backsliding. Read.
They hold fast deceit, they refuse to return.
Oh, they hold fast deceit and they refuse to come back to keeping the daggone natural way. Read.
I hearkened and heard, but they speak not aright. No man repented him of his wickedness.
See, that's the thing that we read earlier. Nobody want to take accountability for choosing the path that they decide to choose. They rather put the blame or point the finger at somebody else rather than they going to be accountable for your own action. Read.
Saying, what have I done?
Well, what have I done? I ain't done nothing wrong. Y'all the one that dangles is out of order. You know what I'm saying? Y'all the one that gonna come up with that false doctrine and teaching hate and trying to divide families and doing this and doing that. Read.
Everyone turns to his course.
Everyone turns his course, meaning everybody do whatever fits them. Read.
As the horse rushes into battle.
I can believe in what I want to believe in because this country allows me to believe in that. But that's your interpretation of the scripture. That's what it's saying to everybody goes into their own course. They run the daggone way that they want to run because it's not according to God. They want to do their own thing. All right, read.
Yea, the star in the heaven knoweth her appointed time.
So now he says, now he goes into daggone describing animals. All right, a stork, I believe, is a bird. Read.
And the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming.
So now all these animals know and observant about when their end is near. They're aware of these things. These animals know when their time is up. Read.
But my people,
But what?
but my people
But my people, God's people, the so-called blacks and Hispanics and the Americans, read.
know not the judgment of the Lord.
They don't understand that the reason why we catching hell the way we catching hell right now is because that's judgments from God. They can't fathom that. They can't wrap their mind around why we catching so much hell here. And the reason why they can't fathom that is because the pastors that is set up have not taught them anything. Therefore, they don't have no reasoning as to why these things happen. All they can say is the devil is just dang on wrong. The devil's on my back. Then when you ask them who the devil is, they say it's an evil spirit. No, the devil is the dang old nigga in the pulpit teaching you wrong. It's the white man that got you in captivity. That's who the deceiver is. That's what the word devil means. Deceiver. They can't seem to grasp that. Read.
Verse 8. How do ye say we are wise, and the law of the Lord is with us?
So now it says, how can we say that we are wise and the law of the Lord is with us? Read.
Lo, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribe is in vain. The wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed and taken. Lo, they have rejected the word of the Lord.
Here we go. So now he's going into talking about both sets of wise men. You have the wise men that honor and reverence the laws of God, but they look back and say, "Look, these people just ain't catching it. They just ain't getting it." So now they are taken and they're on disbelief. They now begin to feel like, oh, maybe this ain't true. Because the people just ain't getting it. Maybe these words that we teaching is not really going to happen. It's not going to come to pass. Then you got the other dang so-called leaders that's supposed to be full of wisdom. They're the one teaching you contrary to the laws of God. Then that's what he says, and they too shall be what? Taken. They're going to be swallowed up too, because why? They're not seeing anything from the Lord coming to pass in their eyes. Not realizing, in verse 7 it says, because you don't understand judgment. That's the reason why you can't see this. That's the reason why you can't fathom this. Read.
And what wisdom is in them?
He said, and what wisdom is in them? What kind of understanding is in them? What kind of laws is keeping them rooted in this truth? The word that you want to remember is rooted. Don't forget what we're talking about. The cursed what? Fig tree. Read.
Therefore, will I give their wives unto others?
So now here comes the judgment. He said, because they're so ignorant, I'm going to give their wives unto other men. Read.
And their fields to them that shall inherit them.
And now your land is going to be given to other people. We don't occupy our dang old lands. Here and in Jerusalem. The other nation occupy these things. The Bible is what? A true book. Read them.
For everyone, from the least even unto the greatest, is given to covetousness.
Everybody, from the pastors, the seers, even down to the dang old people in the congregation, is all given unto covetousness. Meaning they think about themselves, what they can get out of the deal. What's in it for me? Everybody's given unto covetousness. Read.
From the prophet even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely.
At this time, every one of us have dealt falsely. Read.
For they have healed the hurt of the daughters of my people slightly.
He said, listen, they have healed the dang on hurt of my people slightly. How? Read.
Saying
what?
Peace.
Shalom.
Peace.
Shalom.
When there is no peace.
That's what the word shalom means. Peace, peace, peace. You listen to what this is saying here. Think back to the time when you was in Christianity. And they tell you that Christ loves everybody. We all should just get along. That's them telling you peace, peace. But meanwhile, Martin King that was behind what? By a dang old pack of dang old savages, white men. But yet, he gonna rise up and say, can we all just get along? Then 30 years later, you got Bolton John, this dumb retarded little dude, gonna get him to stick on the dang old stand, and this white woman killed his brother, and he do the same thing that Rodney King did. Can I just hug her? That's because why? We don't understand judgment.
And the judge gave her our book.
Yeah, exactly, all that foolishness. Because why? We don't know when the Lord is judging us. Read.
Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination?
Were all of them ashamed? From the pastor down to the dang old people. Were they ashamed when they committed all types of sins? Read.
Nay, they were not all
They
ashamed.
were not all ashamed. Why?
Neither could they blush.
We couldn't even dang on blush.
Therefore, shall they fall among them that fall.
So now he says, the pastor's going to fall among them that he teaches. They all going to fall into the dang on ditch together. Come on.
And the time of their visitation, they shall be cast down, saith the
So
Lord.
now I want you to focus and highlight that word right there. When it says, and they shall be cast down, saith the Lord. Cast down, saith the Lord. Read.
Verse 13, I will surely consume them, saith the Lord.
God said, I will surely consume them, says the Lord.
There shall be no grapes on the vine,
Keyword, there shall be no grapes on the vine. Read.
nor figs on the fig
I
tree.
don't know how much more clues I can give right there. No more fig on the fig tree. Read.
And the leaf shall fade,
And the leaves shall fade.
and the things that I have given them shall pass away from them.
So now, when you examine verse 12 and verse 13, you want to highlight cast them down. All right? Verse 13, it gives you who the day that he's going to cast down. He compares them to what? Fruits, things that come from a tree, the vine, the fig. So the them here that he's making reference to in Mark 11 is what? Israel. Israel is that tree that God cursed. That fig tree that he cursed. And it's the reason why he cursed the tree. The whole 12 tribes was cursed. All right? Everybody with me on that? Everybody follow? All right? Go on to verse 1 so we can prove it.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 1 so we can prove.
But Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 1.
Because this is the day on tree that was cast down. It tells you the proof in verse 1.
At that time, saith the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah.
Wait a minute. If the bones got to be brought out, that means it had to be what? Perished. It had to be, they're going to cast what? Down. Dead. So the tree, in other words, was put to damn death. Israel was put to dang death. Therefore, bringing forth the dang bones that he got to dang bring life back into when you read Ezekiel 37 about the valley of dry bones. That's making reference to Israel. So the tree here in dang Mark 11, go back to Mark 11.
Mark chapter 11 and verse 13.
So now this is going to prove that the tree is Israel. Come on.
And seeing a fig tree afar off, having leaves, he came, if haply he might find anything
He
thereon.
wanted to see what this tree was going to bring forth. What kind of fruit? Read.
And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves.
He saw nothing but leaves on the tree.
For the time of the fig was not yet.
Uh-huh.
And Jesus answered and said unto it, no man eat fruit of thee thereafter forever.
Because God what? He cursed the dang on trees. Read.
And his disciples heard it. And they came to Jerusalem.
Okay, that's all I want from that. So now, I want y'all to dang on follow with me for just a second. Go back to dang on Jeremiah. All right? And I want to draw some other points out on here. We're going to wrap up pretty soon. This ain't a long lesson. All right? So now I want you to go back to verse 12 and 13.
But Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 12. When they ashamed, when they had committed abomination.
It says, were they ashamed when they had committed abomination?
Nay,
No, they wasn't ashamed. Come on.
they were not all ashamed,
Come on.
neither could they blush. Therefore shall they fall among them that fall, and the time of their visitation they shall be cast down, saith the Lord.
Read.
I will surely consume them, saith the Lord.
So now he's saying, I'm going to destroy Israel. I'm going to consume them. Read.
There shall be no grapes on the vine.
So now he said there should be no grapes on the vine. The reason or the purpose for grapes is to do what? To make wine, right?
Yeah.
To make juice. That's the purpose of the grape. And to eat. All right, it's a form of what? Food. Merely then this time, grape was used to then create wine. Everybody with me? All right, so he said there should be no grapes, meaning there should be no wine to drink. Read.
No figs on the fig tree.
Figs on the fig tree, meaning it goes into food. You eat that for nourishment. Read.
And the leaf shall fade, and the things that I have given them shall pass away from
So
them.
now let's deal with that. Give me Amos chapter 8 and verse 11. Amos chapter 8 and verse 11.
Amos chapter 8 and verse 11. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will send a famine in the land.
Uh-oh. What is famine? What is famine associated with? Food is also food. All right? So God said, it's going to come a day when I'm going to send a famine in the land. Read.
not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water.
So now you gotta say, wait a minute. If you're gonna send that, what are you talking about? He's letting you know, I'm not talking about you not be able to eat or drink. That's not the first initial thought with the Most High. He's talking about a different type of famine. Read.
But of hearing the words of the Lord.
But what?
But of hearing the words of the
But
Lord.
of hearing the words of the Lord. That's the famine that you're gonna suffer. He said, I'm gonna utterly destroy you. How? But you're not gonna have no word being preached to you. You're not gonna know your nationality. You're not gonna know your heritage. You're not gonna know your laws. You're not even gonna know who your God is. You're not gonna know none of these things. That's us being utterly destroyed. That's the dang old reason why he said he cursed the fig tree. You're not gonna have no wine, and you're not gonna have no food. That's associated with famine. Meaning it's going into the spiritual aspect of you're not gonna be able to dang understand anything that this Bible says unto you. Even your pastor, that so-called claim he got theology school education pertaining to this Bible. He's not gonna be able to break it down properly. Read on.
And they shall wander from sea to sea.
Meaning you'll be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Read.
And from the north even to the east, they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord.
Can you break this down to me? Can you break that down to me? I don't understand what this right here is saying. Pastor, can you dangle? You be trying to seek and get understanding. And what we got was a bunch of dangle fairy tales. It's going to be a red dragon that will come out of the middle of the earth and will be picking people forks. That's the kind of stuff that they taught you. The red dragon with 7 horns, they're going to tell you that mythical stuff. That's not what the scripture is talking about. Read.
And shall not find it.
And shall not get the understanding thereof. Come on.
And that day shall the fair virgin and young man faint for thirst.
He said, and that day shall the fair virgins, meaning the young women and the young men, faint for thirst. Meaning we're going to be dying for the word of God. Because there's not going to be any proper understanding. And that came to pass. So this prophecy is already fulfilled in past tense. We not suffer that curse. That's over and done with. Because why? The understanding is here. So that famine is dang on gone. Everybody with me? Yeah. All right, so now from there, we're going to deal with when it says no leaf. All right, go back to Jeremiah 8, just so we can get the thought real quick, and I'm going to give y'all the breakdown where it says no leaf. All right? Verse 13. 8:13.
So Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 13. I will surely consume them, said the Lord. There shall be no grapes on the vine, no figs on the fig tree.
That's going into what? Lack of what? The word. Not having the laws, such as commandments. Not knowing your heritage. Everybody with me? Yep. Read.
And the leaf shall fade.
So now he says, and the leaf shall fade. All right, so now let's deal with that leaf. The operation of a leaf, when you look it up, it goes into protecting the tree. It gives the tree shade. It provides food. It's a food source for the tree. All right, if the tree don't have leaves on it, what happens? It dies. All right, so the leaf is a vital and very important aspect of the tree. Everybody with me? All right, so now that's going to, it's not going to be anybody teaching the laws of God. Because the tree that leaf is very important. All right, so now I'm going to show you all that. Give me the video that shows and explains the function of leaves. So I can
Welcome to Moo Moo Math and Science. In this video, I'd like to talk about leaves. The leaves of plants vary in size and shape. For example, pine trees are needle-shaped. The leaves of a birch tree are small and rounded. But they all have one thing in common. Leaves play an important role for the plant because they capture the sun's energy and carry out the food-making process of photosynthesis.
So now we know why the leaves is on the tree. Because its job is to provide the plant or the tree the nourishment that it needs to bring forth fruits and vegetables, or whatever the case may be, or flowers. That's how the tree get fed, is through the trees, which the dangle sun provided with that nourishment or that energy to feed the dangle plant. Everybody with me? So now that we got the understanding on that, Let's go to Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23.
Because the sun is equated to what? Light, right? Read.
For the commandment is a lamp.
For the commandment is a lamp. A lamp gives for what? Light. Read.
And the law is light.
And the law is light. So therefore, when you ain't gonna look at it in the spiritual sense, the dang tree that is nourishing the dang meat, or leaf that is nourishing the tree, it gets its power from what? The light, the sunlight. This light in this instance that it's talking about is from the Most High. All right? That's what nourishes and powers the dang tree. All right? So now, when you think about it in the grand scheme of what we deal with, why Christ cursed the tree, he says the leaves. Let's go back. We don't want to lose thought. Go back to Mark chapter, Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 13.
But Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 13.
I don't want y'all to lose
I
thought.
will surely consume them, says the Lord.
The thing here is talking about what? Israel. He's equating Israel to who? The tree. Everybody with me? All right, come on.
There shall be no grapes on the
He
vine,
said there should be no grapes on the vine.
nor figs on the fig tree,
Uh-huh.
and the leaves shall fade.
He said, and the leaves shall fade. All right, read.
And the things that I have given them shall pass away from
So
them.
now we got to figure out why the leaves is going to fade. It's because it's not getting what? It's not getting energy from who? God, the sun. Everybody see that? So that's the reason why it's going to fade. Because God's word is not going to go out void. He said, I'm going to make sure I destroy them. I'm going to draw back this light that give you the nourishment that ain't going to keep you alive. Everybody see that? All right? So from there, give me Mark 11 and verse 12.
Mark chapter 11 and verse 12. And on the morrow, when they were come from Bethany, he was hungry. And seeing a fig tree afar off, having leaves.
So now, see, I want y'all to focus on the words leaves. These things is mentioned twice in that scripture. It's for a reason. He says he saw it having leaves, so it's leaves on this tree. Read.
He came, if haply he might find anything thereon.
So now he thought that, okay, surely it's something on this tree because the leaves look so nice and nourished on this tree. It's got to be something I can plant in this bush and get something out here to feed myself. Read.
And when he came to it,
And when he came to it,
he found nothing but leaves.
he only found leaves on the tree. So now you got to think, wait a minute. We just read that if the dang tree don't get dang sunlight and it dang start to die, he said it's going to wither away. It's going to fade because it's not getting its nourishment. So how come in this right here, he came to this tree and he saw that the tree was dang well nourished looking, but there was no fruit on the tree because those leaves is the source in which bring forth the fruit. So who is these leaves? These is going into your pastors. They don't want to supposed to provide you with knowledge, with wisdom, with understanding. They're the ones that's on the dang tree looking like they so nourished. They got all the wisdom, understanding. Their houses look good. They dang thriving. But yet the people in the congregation is starving. You ask them what they done in church today. I can't remember, but I remember the Stones, Sister such and such said.
It was banging today.
That's these churches. These leaves are your pastors. They supposed to be feeding God's children. So now we starting to understand why Christ cursed the damn tree. Because the pastors ain't feeding. The sun is out now. And y'all taking it all in. But you fattening your own damn belly. Meanwhile, the people don't really know the dang truth. They don't have understanding. They walk out dumb, clueless. The leaves are the pastors. Write that down. All right? Finish that up.
For the time of the fig was not yet.
Mm-hmm. That's it?
Yeah, that's
All right, so now I want you to, we're going to go to a Matthew account real quick. Matthew 21 and verse 18.
We'll say Matthew chapter 21 and verse 18.
Bear with me, come on.
Now in the morning, as he returned into the city,
Come on.
he hungered. And when he saw a fig tree in the way, he came to it and found nothing thereon,
Mm-hmm.
but leaves only,
But he only found these only saying the same thing that Mark said. Come on.
and said unto it,
Christ cursed the dang tree.
let no fruit grow on thee henceforward forever.
Read.
And presently the fig tree withered away.
Instantly the tree dang grew up and died. Come on.
And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, how soon is the fig tree withered away?
They said, man, you see how fast the dang tree died? Read.
Jesus answered and said unto them, verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not,
Mm-hmm.
ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done.
Read.
And all things, whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believe ye shall receive.
Same thing. Come on.
And when he was coming to the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, by what authority does these things, and who gave thee this authority?
So now these dang elders, meaning the scribes and the Pharisees, all right, the elders of the dang nation of Israel, they came and saw Christ and said, listen, nigga, who gave you authority to come in here telling us what the dang gonna do? Teaching all this stuff. Who is you? Read.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing.
So Christ, before he answered them, he says, listen, before I answer you, I'm going to put forth something for you and you answer it to me. Read.
Which if ye tell me, I and likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things.
So before I answer you, answer my question. Read.
The baptism of John, which was it?
He said, listen, the baptism of John, where did that come from? Read.
Was it from heaven or of
See,
men?
I said, listen, did that come from dang on heaven or did that come from men? So now Christ is dang on testing these dang on scribes and Pharisees, these elders. Read.
And they reasoned with themselves.
So they got to get you sure that's the right answer? Read.
Saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, why did ye not then believe him?
Mm-hmm. Because the dang rule was back then, all the dang facts was, the scribes and Pharisees did not believe in John's baptism. Read.
But if we shall say of man, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet.
But if you say if it is of John the Baptist, then you know what? We got to fear the people because the people are going to be like, well, wait a minute. John was right. So now we got to deal with that aspect of it. Read.
And they answered Jesus and said, we cannot tell.
Listen, man, we don't know. We don't know. Read.
And he said unto them, neither tell I you by what authority I do these things.
You know, I don't love that kind of stuff because that's something that I would do right there. You know, before I ask you a question, you answer me a question. I already know what I'm going to tell you. You don't have to answer for what I'm about to ask you. So who the hell is you to make me think that I have to answer you? You can't answer my question. I'm not telling you who sent me and who gave me the authority. That's what he's saying. Read on.
But what think ye? A certain man had two sons.
So now, we're going to speed through this, all right, because he got a lot of parables in here. All right, so now, Christ dismissed the scribes and Pharisees, the leaders, the elders of Israel, because they was questioning him about his authority. Who gave you this power to come and chastise us? All right, so now, Christ set forth a couple parables to them to understand. All right, and we're going to fast forward to that part. All right, so now we're going to get to verse 38. Read. We still dealing with why Christ cursed the fig tree. Read.
The book, St. Matthew chapter 21 and verse 38.
Come on.
But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves.
So now the husbandman, another word for that, you can write beside it, is going into the farmer. All right, that's a farmer. He's the one that owns. He's the one that owns the farm. All right, read.
This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him.
So now Christ put forth the thing and said, listen, I'm going to give y'all a parable about these dang old people and how they did the dang old owner of the farm servant that he sent. He said, listen, these people that he sent them to, they caught him and they killed him. Making reference of Christ. Read.
When the Lord therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen?
So now he said, now when the Lord that owns that farm comes, what do you think he's going to do to those people that's the farmers of that vineyard for what they did to who he sent the servant unto them for? What do you think he's going to do to them? Read.
They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen,
Mm-hmm.
which shall render him the fruit in their season.
So now I want y'all to highlight that right there because that's going to be an important reason or way of understanding why Christ cursed the dang old fig tree. Read verse 41 again.
Verse 41, they say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men.
He will what?
He will miserably destroy those wicked men.
He's going to destroy those wicked men. Those wicked men. What's the leaves on the tree represent? The pastors. You got a lot of them. So he's talking about he's going to destroy those wicked men that sit so luxuriously in their houses, fancy cars, fancy suit and ties, and not feeding the people. And he sent the servants to tell them, y'all got to fix that. Y'all messing up the dang old Lord's farm. Read.
And will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruit in their season.
So now, in other words, God is saying, I'm going to destroy those pastors that led my people astray, and I'm going to give the vineyard to their own rightful brothers that's going to teach them the right way and bring forth good fruit. That's what he's saying there. I'm going to trade out the people that y'all hold in high esteem, like your Creflo Dollars, like the T.D. Jakes, like the local pastors around here that a lot of people have in high esteem. He said, I'm going to get rid of them, and I'm going to send forth the meek of the earth. Those ones that y'all look at as foolish, they can't speak so well, I'm sending them. Read.
Verse 42, Jesus said unto them, did ye never read in the scripture, the stone which the builders rejected, the seam has become the head of the corner?
So now you have these scribes and Pharisees thought that because they was in a position of authority, and they were set up by the Romans, that they are the chief cornerstone. But Christ was reminding them about the scriptures. He said, did y'all not read the scriptures? Because they was well studied in the word. Christ had to remind them, did y'all not read the scripture that says that, hey, this chief cornerstone is going to come and set things in order? He's telling them who he is. He's giving them this authority. And they are not catching on. As of yet, read.
This is the Lord's doing.
He said, this is what?
This is the Lord's doing.
So now when you see us go on these streets and we dang confound these pastors, we go inside their dang synagogues and we confound them in front of their congregation. Understand, this is the Lord's doing. Read.
And it is marvelous in our eyes.
And it's lovely. I love to see it when you see a dang pastor get cut up in his pride because he can't answer a question. God says that's lovely and marvelous in our sight. We sit back and we dang eat popcorn and watch like it's a movie. We love it. Read.
Therefore say I unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you.
He said, listen, you wicked men and women that's calling yourself prophetess. He said, it's going to be taken from you. Them people in that congregation, they're going to be taken away from you. Read.
And give it to a nation, bringeth forth the fruit thereof.
And he's going to set them in the right place with the right brothers to guide them and lead them in the right path. Come on.
And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken.
So now he's talking about the parable again. He said, those that fall, those fruits that fall from the tree. You got to think of a coconut. If it falls on the stone, the coconut is going to break on the stone. Read.
But on whomsoever it shall fall,
Now, it says, and now whomsoever it. What is the it? The stone. Now he says, if the dang coconut falls on the stone, it shall break. But now he says, and if it shall fall on,
it will grind him to powder.
so wait a minute, can a coconut grind the dang brick into powder? You gotta look at it opposite around. So he's saying that it here is talking about if the dang stone, the cornerstone fall on it, meaning the dang people and those that dang follow those wicked pastors. If the stone, which is Christ, come down on you, you're gonna be turned into ashes to ashes and dust to dust. That's what he's saying. I'm gonna destroy you and that coconut road, that dang people that can follow you, they're gonna get broken, but then they can be put back together. But if I come down on you, ain't gonna be nothing left of you. You will be straight dust. Soon as the wind blows. A memory. Nothing there. Read.
Verse 25. And when the chief priest and Pharisee had heard his parable,
So now when they ain't gonna finish listening to Christ's parable, this is how smart they was. Read.
they perceived that he speak of them.
Now they got the daggone hint about what the parable was talking about. They knew in his spirit that this joker was talking about us. Read.
But when they sought to lay hands on him,
Now they got so mad. They were like, I want to punch this thing in the face. That's what they did. Read.
they feared the
They
multitude.
had the dang check. They said, wait a minute. It's a lot of brothers up here following him. And there's only a few of us. Read.
Because they took him for a prophet.
Back in those days, if they took you in high esteem as a prophet sent from God, the people got your back. Anybody that could not prove that they were sent by God, the people would stone you to death. So they could not touch Christ at that time. Matter of fact, this is the beginning of when Christ introduced himself into the daggone city of Jerusalem. In the beginning of his ministry. Because when you read Mark 11, it talks about him coming into Jerusalem on the ass. And everybody was praising him, saying, oh, that's the scripture. That's that brother, Hosanna, that's him. So they knew, oh snap, prophecy is being fulfilled. That's the dang old guy. So now, Christ now stumbled the dang old scribes and Pharisees up. He got them back in the corner, just using his words. And they caught on that quick and said, oh snap,
Talk about us.
he gonna kill us. And he gonna set up them 12 that's with him to dang gonna be over the congregation. Because you gotta remember, Christ had the 12 with him. He was setting them up to take over their spot. And the scribes and Pharisees did not take kindly to that thing. But in this time, they couldn't do nothing. Because the people were like, yeah, touch him. Touch him, nigga. Touch him. And it's gonna go down. Trust and believe that thing right there. All right, so now when it says Christ is the chief cornerstone, let's get Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 20. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 20, just to prove that. All right, Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 20. So as you brothers and sisters finding out so far, the daggone cursing of the fig tree was primarily going into Israel as a whole being dead asleep because they broke the laws, statutes, and commandments. But then as they began to keep the commandments, or begin to then be brought back together, all right, the scribes and Pharisees had the understanding. And they were soaking up all the nutrients and not feeding the tree. So therefore, we was following these wicked people. And Christ was saying, listen, because you follow them, I got to destroy the whole tree. So he was like, listen, it's no respect of a person. Even in your ignorance, God's going to destroy you. Because he always makes a way for you to escape. You just choose to remain in the congregation of the day. Read that.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 2 and verse 20.
Come on.
And are built upon the foundation of the apostle and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone.
Why do you think the scribes and Pharisees were so quick that they ain't going to comprehend that? Because they understood the scriptures. They knew that Christ was the dang chief cornerstone. They knew of his coming. They wasn't dumb. We just wanted to prove that. All right, so now, give me in conclusion, we're going to wrap up here. All right? So now, just to recap. All right? The cursing of the tree, give me Sirach chapter 16 and verse 1.
Sirach chapter 16 and verse 1.
Read.
Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children.
So why would I go here? Because I don't want y'all to lose the thought. The class is about what? The cursing of the fig tree. The fig tree represents Israel. All right? The leaves represent the pastors, the leaders that will be feeding the flock. All right? And now he's saying, listen, for you all to summarize this class, he said, listen, what we can take away from this lesson here is number one, do not desire a multitude of unprofitable children. Children equate to them a congregation. A lot of people, they look for the big dang congregation. But God said, listen, hey, I'm looking to see if it's going to bring forth godly fruit. I don't give a damn if it's number dang 3 leaves on it. If it's not going to teach it, I better be able to get my hand in there and eat of it. Read it again.
The book of Sirach chapter 16 and verse 1.
Read.
Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children.
Come on.
Neither delight in ungodly sons.
Don't take stock in ungodly people. It's talking about here in the dang sense of children. Don't take stock in that thing. Read.
Though they multiply, rejoice not in them.
He said, don't they multiply. Don't rejoice in them. Why? Read.
Except the fear of the Lord be with them.
That's the only reason that you rejoice in having a dang congregation full of people. Is unless you can see the whole body is dang keeping the laws of God. You ain't got no problem, no schism in the body. Everybody putting their hand to the plow. Everybody pushing forth this gospel. Everybody doing the work. And not waiting on somebody else that they're going to just lead and do all the work. You being taught, you being fed, and you're not dang taking heed of nothing that is coming out of this dang pulpit. You are unprofitable. Our job is to feed the flock. So we doing our job, but if the people are not dang bringing forth the fruit, it's because you're not dang taking heed in the teachings. You're not dang be diligent in dang eating the word like it tells you to do. Humble down, apply these things. But yet, I'm going this, and go do that, it's fine. Because the Bible says we don't want unprofitable people. You got to be bringing forth fruit. And it's not talking about in the dang grand scheme of people. It's talking about the fruit of the Spirit. We're going to get in a second, just so we get clarity. Read.
Verse 3. Trust not thou in their life.
He said, don't trust in their life. Come on.
Neither respect their multitude.
And don't respect how many children that they bring forth. Come on.
For one that is just is better than 1,000.
He said, because in all those children that they have, it's better for one of them to be just than 1,000 to be unjust. Come on.
And better it is to die without children.
He says, it's better for you to die not having ungodly children
than to have them that are ungodly.
I didn't say that. The Bible said that. Read.
For by one that had understanding,
For by one, if only one have understanding,
shall the city be replenished.
shall the city be replenished. Meaning God said, listen, when you think about the story in Kings, when Elijah thought he was by himself, and he prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said, what you worried about? Hey, I sent you, but I got others that have not bowed the knee to Baal. You ain't by yourself, but I can use you because I see you fear the Lord. So he said, if I got one, that's all I need. The Lord don't roll with numbers. Yes, don't get me wrong, it's nice to see a whole lot of people. But if you ain't gonna really think about it above and beyond just the numbers, and say, you know what? Are these brothers and sisters here people that I can then go trust and depend on to keep it going if something was to happen? If I was then gonna get taken out of the dang spot, can somebody else step up and fill the plate? That's the question. But if you can't answer yourself that, then maybe you are unprofitable. Maybe you are not fit for the kingdom. Your whole purpose on life is nothing. You're here to be that 2/3. Read.
but the kindred of the wicked shall speedily become desolate.
So now, just in case somebody trying to figure out what the word kindred is going into, when you look into the Bible dictionary, that word kindred is going into children. So now read verse 4 one more time.
Verse 4, for by one that had understanding
So by why you have one child to have understanding, one child have understanding,
shall the city be replenished,
that child is going to restore the city. Read.
but the kindred
But the children,
of the wicked shall speedily become
but
desolate.
now you got a bunch of kids, and all of them is damn wicked like Eli's sons was. He said, listen, hey, they are profitable. They're going to destroy every damn thing, even though it's a bunch of them. Because in our thought process, we think the more, the merrier. It's strength in numbers. The Bible does say that. But the strength that it's talking about is your power in God's might. When you read Ephesians 6 and 10. Be strong in the Lord and the power of what? His what? His what? His what? That's what we do. Don't get jealous. It is what it is. All right? Galatians 5 verse 22.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22.
This is the fruit that he's looking for.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love.
He wants that to be found in the dang on tree that he went to go and seek to eat from, to be nourished from, to see where they bring him forth. Read.
Joy.
So now, when the pastor is teaching, when your congregation and your leader is teaching, he should be teaching you to have the spirit of joy. Coming to the Lord's house with joyfulness and gladness of heart. That's supposed to be taught in the congregation. Read.
Peace.
You got to be taught how to be peaceful when people deal you wrong. Turn a blind eye to, you know what? I forgive you, but trust the not, nigga. Read.
Long suffering.
You got to be patient with people. Even though they may some people get on your freaking nerve, doing stuff to just hurt you. You got to be, oh Lord, please understand. Read.
Gentleness.
You got to learn how to be gentle because, hey, every one of us is subject to fall in this truth at some point. So when your brother or sister stumble, you got to learn how to be gentle according to that spirit. Not everybody is fit to be gentle with. But he's talking in the sense of if they understand and know the law, you got to then go meet them that same way because you got to consider thyself. We read Galatians chapter 1, 6 and verse 1. Read.
Goodness.
You got to have goodness in you. Meaning you got to always be dang operating in the laws of God because that is what's good. Romans 7 and verse 12. Come on.
Faith.
You got to have faith in God. When you read in James, you can't have faith in men. You got to have faith in God. Read.
Meekness.
You got to be humble. That word meekness means you got to be humble. Some people may take us saying, you know, that nigga, they're arrogant. No, I'm not arrogant. I'm confident in the word of God. The meekness that I have is when I'm dealing with my brother or sister that understand and know this truth. And they meet me the same way. But if you ignorant and you come in and go seek me harm or anybody in my congregation, I'm coming for your head. Read.
Temperance.
You got to learn how to go mind your temper. Some people can get you there, rouse you up, and make your knuckles turn on black.
Against such there is no law.
Those that going to carry these kind of fruits of the Spirit, there's no law that you can pull in the Bible to condemn that man or that woman. Right. Period, point blank. All right, to close out right here, we're going to finish out in John chapter 15 and verse 1.
John chapter 15 and verse 1. I am the true vine.
So now, to give the concept or the dang summary of what we just read in Mark chapter 11, all right, and Matthew 21, it's going to summarize the whole understanding of Christ cursing the fig tree. It's going to summarize it in a nutshell. Read.
I am the true vine.
So Christ is letting you know he is the vine. What comes from vine? Water, nourishment. He's the one that now is that daggone vine. Those leaves now. He's going to nourish the daggone tree.
And my Father is the husbandman.
Now that story that we read about in Matthew 21, when he was giving a parable unto the scribes and Pharisees, he was letting them know that Christ, being the Most High, he is the husbandman. He's the one that controls the farm and the farmers. So he's breaking the parable down here. Read.
Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away.
So now he said, all those branches that so-called are in me, fall in me, and you don't bring forth fruit. Read.
And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it.
He said, now those branches that don't bring forth fruit, he's going to purge it. Another word for purge means he's going to kill it. He's going to cut it off. This is why he tell you, it's better for you to come into the kingdom of heaven, halt or maimed, than to be whole and be cast into the lake of fire. You got to cut some damn people off, is what he's saying. But some of us in here don't understand that. I'm going to start hanging with my boys. I'm going to start hanging with my girls. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep on hanging with wicked family. Keep on hanging with them wicked friends. And watch the Lord cut your black behind off. That's what says the Lord. Read.
That it may bring forth more fruit.
He said the purpose of you being in me is to bring forth more fruit. And that comes in seasons. If you all ever day who grew anything, you understand that it's stages in plants. They come off nice and tender at one point, then they get a little bit more mature, and then when you let them overripe, hey, then they're going to get harder. But they're bringing forth what? Fruit that can be then going to use. Everything has its purpose, but it happens in time. Meaning, the different languages that we read in Galatians chapter 5, meekness, temperance, patience, long-suffering, those things happen in stages. Every so often, the Most High is going to send Christ to come down and check the branch to see what kind of fruit this thing going to bring forth. Oh, okay, he finally got the spirit of dang meekness on him. All praises. Next season come around and say, oh, well now he got the spirit of temperance on him. Now he's not controlling that temper. All praises. These things happen in time. But he's going to be checking that dang tree to see what kind of fruit is coming forth out of that tree. Read.
Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you.
Because now that we then going to understand what is being taught unto us, we teaching this flock to keep the laws, statutes, commandments. Now you waking up and you got that understanding. Now you being nourished. You're not then going to lacking in famine anymore. You getting the word of God now. That famine now they going went away. Now you get the day a chance and opportunity to stand upon your feet. Because why? The true vine is feeding you. Not these wicked ass men anymore. Read.
Abide in me and I in you.
If you abide in me, I will abide in you.
As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself.
It's telling you straight up. These things work together. We got to work with each other. It's not a one-man show. You can't sit on your behind and look out there at the level and say, oh, wait, y'all ain't got this and y'all ain't got that. Well, what the hell did you do? What did you bring forth? What are you contributing to this dang body? I can't do it by myself. We can't do it by ourselves. We got to work together. Read.
Except it abide in the vine, no more can ye except it abide in me.
You can't do nothing of yourself unless you have Christ as your source. Like I always tell y'all about. Whenever you go through your self-evaluation, always remember, do I have Christ as my center? Is he my source? Is he my rock where I can draw energy from when I need it? When I'm down and out, I can fall back on it because I can depend on him. If Christ is your source, you're going to always get back up. But if it's anything other than that, you won't fall. I'm here because this man, you won't fall. I'm here because this woman, you won't fall. Because you making those people all those things, you'll send them. They can't do nothing unless they abide in Christ. Read.
I am the vine, ye are the branch.
He said, understand again, I'm letting you all know. I'm the source. I'm the vine. You all are the branches. Read.
He that abideth in me, and I in him,
Read.
the same bringeth forth much fruit.
Why are you going to bring forth much fruit? Because the same thing of characteristics that Christ have, they're going to have it too. In abundance. Because why? You're going to see Christ in them and them in Christ. They work together. They complement each other. Come on.
For without me, ye can do
And
nothing.
he's telling you straight up, you can't do nothing.
If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch.
Again, I don't know how many times you read in the scripture about Christ saying, cut them off. Cut them off. But Israel got a strong hold when it comes to dang people that refuse to keep the commandments. And you still want to hold on to them, and then that dang branch that is dang dying and killing the dang whole branch. They're going to kill the whole plant. Because why? You want to hold on to it? You gotta cut that branch off, or it's gonna destroy the whole damn tree. That's why he destroyed the dang tree in the the parable. When he was talking about he had to kill the whole tree. Because it wasn't bringing forth no fruit. Read.
And is withered, and man gathered them and cast them into the fire.
He said, now when these dang people that do not abide in me, and when I tell you that, hey, if you don't abide in me, I'm going to cut you off, you got to do the same thing with your dang people around you. Or whatever things that you're battling with, the sins that you're battling with. Because if you're dabbling into those things is going to eventually cause you to then lose your salvation, and you ultimately going to be put to damn death in the lake of fire. That's what it's saying here. The scriptures are twofold. It's talking about primarily in dang sin, but it's also talking about being attached to unbelievers. I'm going to say it again. Being attached to unbelievers. Let them go. Read.
And they are burned.
And they will burn. He's telling you what's going to happen to them. Spiritually, when the time comes, he's going to gather all those unprofitable children, unprofitable people, and he's going to gather them up, and he's going to toss them in the lake of fire to be burned.
If ye abide in me,
If you keep my commandments,
and my words abide in you,
and you demonstrate it,
ye shall ask what ye will,
and God will give it to you.
and it shall be done unto you.
Read.
Herein my Father is glorified, that ye bear much fruit.
He said, when you do what God commands you to do, my Father in heaven is glorified. How? Because when people look at you, they should say, dang, that brother did not change. He don't dang gonna do what he used to do, but he kind of dang gonna act different. Oh man, that sister used to dang wear all the spandex. Used to see her camel toe. Now you can't see nothing. Wow, she changed. They should see those spirits. Because why? You got the spirit of meekness on you. You know how to have dang temperance on you. You know how to dang be shamefaced. You're applying these commandments. Your fruit is beginning to show. Read.
So shall ye be my disciple.
Then, when you begin to demonstrate these things, I will call you my disciples, meaning my students. Read.
As the Father had loved me,
As the Father has loved me,
so have I loved you.
understand, Christ's going to end off here. I have loved you. Read.
Continue ye in my love.
Continue in my law. My law means keeping what? His commandments, the laws. Read.
If ye keep my commandments,
If you keep God's commandments,
ye shall abide in my love,
you shall abide always in his love.
even as I have kept my Father's commandment and abide in his love.
And abide in his love. So brothers and sisters, in conclusion, at the end of the day, we got to always remember that we got to fear God and keep his commandments. Otherwise, he's going to cast us out, or he's going to curse us like the fig tree. So remember, you got to examine your life like this tree. Is the things attached to your life, you being that vine, you being that branch that stems from that vine, is the things attached to you worth you carrying on with you? Because if that weight is hidden to you, it's going to cause you to die, to shrivel up and die as well. So we all got a choice to make. If we say that we love the Father, we fear him and keep his commandments, we got a heavy decision to make. And that decision is, do I love God, or do I love the sins or the people that do not love him? If your choice is the latter, you will become that cursed fig tree. All right? So with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to say shalom, most high in Christ bless. Until next time.